if you will not take the time necessary and strive to create art while you are busy, you are not going to want to create art when you have the free time, right? And I think this sentiment is sort of been lost over time. And I feel like the further and further I go forward into the future, as more time passes, I feel like I see this sentiment ring truer and truer. The fact of the matter is, there will always be a reason not to do the things that you want to do, right? And doing nothing is incredibly easy. However, doing nothing doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel bad. If it felt bad, no one would do nothing, but it feels fine enough to excuse doing nothing over doing the stuff that you actually enjoy, or even picking up something you might enjoy. So where am I going with this? Well, I want to talk about today the importance of doing the things you want to do even when they're hard. Like I said earlier, if you will not create while you have so much going on in your life, then you will not want to create when it is easy. Before we start, I go under the handle The Eclectus on YouTube, on TikTok. I think it's Eclectus Familiar on Twitch. I'm on Twitch sometimes, not pretty frequently though, at least at the moment. Something I want to pick up more. It's just I'm currently building some other things up right now, but it is something I like doing, just not a priority for me at the moment. But yeah, find me under The Eclectus on most platforms. But back to the topic at hand. Before we go forward, I kind of want to break into a story here. This is something that actually happened to me a few years back when I was in undergrad. When I was in undergrad, it was my sophomore year. So the end of my sophomore year, right before the summer. I was preparing to leave for my internship, and I was talking to some friends. And we were all sort of just talking about, what are we doing this summer? What are our plans, And one of my friends was an English major who wanted to be an author. And I was talking to this person, and I asked him, I was like, hey, what are your plans for the summer? You have a job lined up? Are you gonna travel? What's up? To which this person tells me, I'm not gonna get a job. I want to write my book. And I was thinking, well, that's odd, like you could do that while working a job, And I didn't really think much of it after that. I thought, I was like, it's weird. But I saw this person a few months later when the summer was over and we were talking. And so I naturally asked, well, how was the progress on that book that you were writing? To which this person told me, I had never even started it. And that story sort of has helped solidify the opinion that those who will not take time to create while they are busy will not take time to create when they have free time, right? And I think when you think of authors or musicians or artists or anyone who works in a creative medium and has made success in it, you don't often think about their life before they hit it big, before they could make that into a living. Every once in a while, he brought up an inspirational Instagram post here and there that, this person started out washing dishes at this restaurant, or this person wrote their book on old paper that they found in a trash can and stuff like that, It'll be inspirational for a second, but the message won't really ring home. But it's true. I mean, famous works of literature didn't rise up from the artist having nothing going on aside from writing it. Famous paintings weren't the only thing that painters were working on in their life. Many people work jobs while making their art. Many people go through hard times, go through family issues, relationship issues, losses, poverty, go through war, And these struggles, I would argue, actually enhance the art. When you have precious time to work on something, you typically put a lot more care into it. Now, I'm not saying that people shouldn't be able to make a living off of art. In fact, I think people should be able to. But the idea that one day you are just, without trying, going to be put into a position where you will be paid a very livable sum of money for making art despite not having any art under your belt, is kind of ridiculous. So maybe you're working 2 jobs. Maybe you work 60 hours a week. Maybe you live in an apartment with 7 other people and can't really find a moment of peace and quiet. Maybe you are going through hell right now. That is the perfect time to create. I'm not saying stop managing your life. I'm not saying to act like these issues don't exist. I believe they will exist. Steal some time away when you can. Don't focus all your energy, but you have energy there. You have great art is made from struggle. And things will get easier, you know. And when that time comes, when things get easier and you have the time that you always dreamed of to write that book, to paint that painting, even non-artistic things, you know, like to run that marathon, you know. When that time comes, you have all that time. If you spent time trying as hard as you could and trying to make that time to do it while you were in the thick of it, it'll be so much more rewarding when you actually find that time. Yes, you will find that time. But I kind of think of it like this, right? I'm a runner, so I use a lot of running metaphors in my life. Let's say you want to run a marathon, and the marathon is 3 months away, and you don't really have much training under your belt, but you know you want to run the marathon. If you take the time to run 15, 20 minutes a day, even if it's not the best marathon training you can do, the results once you get to that marathon are going to be much better if you did nothing. And that's another thing I kind of want to sidebar on. Just because you aren't great at making what you want to make doesn't mean you shouldn't try to make it. I was reading Children of Dune. I'm currently reading it. I was reading it earlier today, and the copy of my book is talking. It has every Frank Herbert work listed in the beginning. Frank Herbert, the author of Dune, and aside from the Dune books, no other book there have I ever heard of. You know, and I'm going to bet most people haven't really heard of those works. Everyone knows what Dune is, you know, and that doesn't mean those works that I have never heard of are bad. There are people who probably have read them and really enjoyed them. But those works aren't where Frank Herbert found success. I'm willing to bet he felt very accomplished when he finished them. I'm willing to bet they're rather good. But Dune wouldn't have been, and Dune, the series wouldn't have been as good as it was if Frank Herbert didn't write those books that maybe aren't as popular. You know, try to make that work you've always wanted to make. Try to make that thing, learn that song, you know? Write that song. Write that thing, draw that drawing that you want to make, and you might not even have the skills that you think is required to make it. What's going to happen inevitably is you're going to make it. You'll feel good that you made it, that you put the work in. That won't be the last thing that you dreamt of making, though. There'll be future works, ideas that come while you're making them, that will be your new dream. You know, that piece of creation that you want to make isn't going to be the only dream, isn't the end goal. It's not the end goal, it's the next step. It's your current benchmark, but you're not going to make that and then want to do nothing ever again. So steal 30 minutes a day. Maybe stay up a bit later than you were hoping. Maybe get up earlier than you were hoping and do that thing you wanted to do. Maybe write a paragraph. Maybe that's all you have time for. Maybe work on an outline. Maybe only have time to read the sheet music today, but you can try playing it tomorrow. You know, maybe scribble onto paper some lyrics. Take 30 minutes. Take 15 minutes. Take a minute. and work on it. Because once you have the time, if you didn't do anything, you'll be out of shape. And that's all I have for today. Thank you so much.